Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Giggity, real name is Mark, and in today's video, we are going to be ranking all 9 current Battlefield 6 maps. I want to make that abundantly clear that I'm ranking doing this video on October 17th, so any map added after this is obviously not going to be included in this video, for those wondering. But yeah, there's 9 currently at the launch of Battlefield 6, and we're going to be ranking all of them from worst to best from a conquest standpoint, okay? Conquest only, because I mainly play Conquest. Like, yeah, I've played Rush, I've played Breakthrough, I've played Escalation, I've played Team Deathmatch, Squad Deathmatch, Domination, whatever, but I mainly play Conquest, and I'm just going to rank them from a Conquest standpoint, besides Saints Quarter, because for those who don't know, Saints Quarter is not a Conquest map for some reason. You can only play it on, like, smaller maps, or smaller game modes, so that one will obviously be ranked for those smaller game modes, but everybody else is going to be ranked from a Conquest standpoint. Also, for some reason, the Battlefield community, which, by the way, don't get me wrong, I'm part of the Battlefield community myself, but I don't know why you guys do this, but for some reason the Battlefield community, I feel like, always is like, oh, well, if you aren't a Battlefield vet, you don't get to have an opinion on Battlefield stuff. So I figured I should let you guys know I'm max level in Battlefield 4, and I was level 70 in Battlefield 3. I played Battlefield 1. I don't remember the level I got to that, though, and I never really touched 5 or 2042 or Hardline, and I started on 3, so any of the ones before that I didn't play either. But yeah, that's my credentials, I guess, for this interview, because I know that, again, the Battlefield community is so weird about that stuff, man. I think it's, honestly, again, guys, I like the Battlefield community for most stuff, but the freaking gatekeeping is stupid. All right, guys, just let people enjoy your game. You know, it's not like what why are you so mad? Either way, movie of the day is 12 Angry Men. It's a movie about a bunch of guys sitting in a room. Does that sound interesting to you? No? Well, watch it anyways, because it didn't sound interesting to me, and I freaking loved it. It's easily in my top 5 favorite movies of all time, most likely in my top 3. I love this movie so much. I think it's absolutely incredible, and I know the premise sounds boring. Trust me, it is not. Go give it a watch. But without further ado, let's go right into it with number 9, my least favorite map currently in Battlefield 6. And that is going to be going to New Sobeek City. Yeah, I hate this map. First of all, this map is extremely one-sided for Conquest. It is so one-sided. One side quite literally just starts with the high ground. I don't understand what they were thinking on that. You're like playing on a hill pretty much, and one side starts at the top of the hill, the other one starts at the bottom of the hill. And since it's such a wide open, long-range map, all that has to happen is snipers need to get on top of some of those buildings with the high ground, which is very easy to do with transport helicopters. They get up there and then they literally rain down supreme. Like, if you like snipers, then I'm sure you love New Sobeek City, but for any sort of other infantry combat on this map, it absolutely sucks. It is just not fun at all. Like, it's horrible. And then most of the flags too, trying to capture them, they're wide open too. C flag on this map, it's just a big square in the middle of the map where every single sniper's nest can just look right down into you and see you. It is so annoying. And then on top of all that, the design isn't really cool either. It's not like in a cool setting. It's just a very forgettable area. It has like that Gulf of Oman vibe, but without the cool and fun layout of Gulf of Oman. It's like the Gulf of Oman street from Battlefield 4, but for the entire map. It is, if you like snipers, it's a good map. If you want to level up your sniper, I'm sure you're looking for New Sobeek City all the time. But besides sniping, this map sucks. Oh, obviously, by the way, I wanted to make this abundantly clear. This is obviously all personal opinion. I understand most of you guys are going to get that, but I know there are just some morons out there that don't understand what personal opinion means, so I figured I had to try and get my point across to them. But either way, coming in at the number 8 spot will make a lot of players mad, but it's Operation Firestorm. This is the only remaster from the old Battlefield games currently in the game. However, I do think, I have a feeling they'll probably remaster some of the Battlefield 3 and 4 maps later on in this game's life cycle for sure, since it's so successful and those maps are just so well loved. I'm sure they will, which I'm all for, by the way. I know people like hate when companies do that. They remaster maps and they're like, oh my god, it's just being lazy. I think it's a great idea, like, especially in Battlefield. It's fun. But either way, Operation Firestorm in this game is not fun. There's just way too many tanks in this map. There's like, I think you can have, at one point, you can have 6 tanks active at any point for one team. That is insane, having 6 whole freaking tanks on a map that's pretty wide open. On top of that, for some reason, they made it smaller than the original Operation Firestorm. So yeah, it's a remaster, but it's not even like a direct remaster. It's a smaller version of Operation Firestorm with more tanks. Why? What in God's name was the point in that? This is one of the only maps where you can at least fly jets and attack helicopters on it, though. There's not a lot of maps in this game that allow you to do that, so that's good. But besides that, like, there's no real upside to Operation Firestorm in Battlefield 6, man. I find myself getting really freaking frustrated on it almost all the time. Coming in at the number 7 spot, I know I said we were ranking them from a conquest standpoint, and we are. Okay, we definitely are. But I still wanted to mention this one thing about this map, Mirra Valley. Mirra Valley on Breakthrough when you're attacking is impossible. You cannot win on attack for Mirra Valley. It is on Breakthrough in particular. It is just not possible. For Conquest, though, it's fine. This is the point where it's like all these maps that from this point on, there are definitely fun parts to be had. Only the B flag on Mirra Valley I think is fun, but it's a lot of fun. The rest of the map does feel a little bit too open and like a running simulator almost at some points too. And then there's just so many parts where I get it's Battlefield and it's supposed to feel this way, but there are so many parts where it just feels like even if you're on foot and you want to get from one flag to another, it's just a death sentence. You're just not going to be able to get there. Like if you cap a flag and you want to get to like B or D, like let's say you capture C flag on Mirra Valley and you want to get to D or B, you're just not going to. Like it's just not possible for you to get over there, which is unfortunate. But the map is still fine. Like I said, it's still fine. I've heard some people say this is one of the only maps that feel like an original Battlefield map because it's open, more open and like big. I can understand where they're coming from that, but at the same time, man, let's be real, dude. There's an Operation Locker 24/7 playlist in Battlefield 4 running at all times, and it's doing that for a reason. People like the smaller maps in Battlefield games, myself included. I like the closer range infantry-based maps in these games, and that's just how I enjoy it. Like, yeah, I like flying the jets and trying for the love of me to control the helicopters just as much as the next guy. But at the end of the day, most of my time on Battlefield games are spent trying to get into gunfights and capturing flags, and Mirra Valley isn't the best in the game for that. However, at the same time, I think the reason why games like Operation Metro and Operation Locker worked so well is because while the majority of the map was still close range combat, there were at least some parts of the map where you could get into longer range combat. However, number 6 is Empire State, which feels like there's nothing on the map that like gives you any way to fight long range. That was such a weird way to word that, but there's no long range engagements on Empire State. Empire State is just like a really close map, and it's fun in that as God, man, I am freaking just choking on my words today. It is fun in that aspect, but if you are trying to get any form of longer range engagements, LMGs, snipers, DMRs, you kind of are screwed on Empire State, which is a little unfortunate. And I think that's just kind of a problem with Battlefield 6 anyways, because the pinging system for some reason seems to work way too strong. I think they need to dial that back a little bit. It like shows where players are within like 2 seconds of you like aiming at them, which just gives away people's position if they're trying to go for longer range sniper shots. Like I can see snipers all the time on BF6 when I don't actually see them. I don't see them at all, but then it shows this little diamond above their head, and maybe one of my teammates pinged them, sure, but I doubt it. I think it's just showing me that because they're like, oh wait, this guy's looking at him, which I think is a problem. But either way, yeah, Empire State I think is the number 6 map. It's fun if you're going for SMGs, shotguns, assault rifles, carbines, but for just about everything else, longer range engagements, it's not the best. Speaking of maps that are much close quarters, coming in at the number 5 spot is Saints Quarter. Now, the only reason why I put this one spot higher, even though admittedly it definitely has a much closer range engagement optimization than Empire State, is because it knows that it doesn't allow you to play Saints Quarter in Conquest, because they know that the map would be too small for that map, for that game mode I should say, but it lets you play it in every other game mode. That's perfectly fine and perfectly understandable, because it's a super small map. If you love SMGs and shotguns, it'll be great for you. And if you're playing domination, squad deathmatch, team deathmatch, you're not trying to use snipers, you know what I mean? You're trying to use the closer range weapons and trying to get those leveled up, and so it's good in that aspect. Also, the map itself is just really beautiful. I like how it looks. It's like a Italian town or something. I don't know actually where it's located, but it seems like an Italian town or something. It's like a really pretty, beautiful looking town. Very close quarter engagement, so alleyways out the wazoo, tight buildings out the wazoo. It's a small map. Okay, we are now officially at the point, though, where literally all 4 of these maps, you can make an argument for them being first place, and I would be like, fair enough. I like almost all of them. Like, I do like all the last 4 of these maps pretty much equally. Like, there's slight differences between them, but every last one of these 4 maps I think are incredible, and I'm excited to play on them every single time I get them. Coming in at the number 4 spot is Siege of Cairo. Feels like a very good mixture of close and long range gunfights. I love C flag on this freaking map. I think it plays so well. It feels like you're fighting across like a river or something, like a gorge, and it's so perfect. It feels like almost like World War I trench warfare at some points too, which is cool. Like I think Siege of Cairo works extremely well. However, the reason why it's not higher than the other ones, I think while I think C flag is great, I do think flags like the D flag and the B flag are not as great. I think those flags are not that fun to attack. A flag is good, E flag is good, and C flag is incredible, but the other 2 flags I think are just a little bit way too close quarters for a Conquest flag. It's like you're standing in like one single room trying to capture a flag on Conquest, which is kind of crazy. Coming in at 3rd place, though, this is what I mean. I know people at the beginning of this video probably thought I didn't like any longer range maps, but that's not true, because third place is Liberation Peak. I think Liberation Peak, which is obviously a longer range map, is incredible. It's only a, like, I know at first glance when you start playing Liberation Peak, you're going to be like, well, this has the same problem that new Sobeek City has, where it's very clearly dominated by snipers. At first glance, you're right, but I think once you play Liberation Peak a couple more times, you'll start to realize there are plenty of ways to get around the snipers. The snipers have their opportunities, for sure, don't get me wrong, but you also have your opportunities to fight with an AR, with an LMG, whatever, against regular other people and not getting into sniper lines of sights, which is how a Battlefield map should be. Snipers can have fun, infantrymen can have fun, and if once you start to learn the map, once you start to learn how to play as whatever weapon it is that you're using, you can start to demolish on the map. And I think Liberation Peak is perfect at that. On top of that, it's a freaking snow map. It has jets, it has attack helicopters, it has tanks, it has ways for snipers to enjoy themselves, it has ways for ARs to enjoy themselves, SMGs, shotguns. Everybody can get away with using whatever gun they want on this map and using whatever tactic or playstyle they want. I think it's really, really good. Liberation Peak is a fun freaking map. However, coming in at second place, yeah, this map just feels good, man. Again, another map where the C flag feels so fun. God, the C flag on this map is fun. Manhattan Bridge. Manhattan Bridge feels like a significantly better version of Empire State or Saints Quarter. Like, it's a small map, sure, but it is just so good. And I kind of is just a better, more like a better version of Empire State, I should say, because it kind of is. I mean, it's set in the same area, as a matter of fact, New York City. They're both set in New York City. But this one is just so much freaking better. There are long lines of sights. The map itself is larger. There's not nearly as many close quarters engagements, but there is still plenty of close quarters engagements if that's what you're looking for. I love this map. I think fighting for C flag is great. I love the fact that B flag is on a rooftop. I think that's super cool and adds for a, I can't remember a single like Battlefield map right now. I'm sure there are some, but I just can't remember one right now off the top of my head where the flag is on the top of like a building like that. Oh, well, immediately Siege of Shanghai. So, okay, I'll take that. I take that back immediately. But still, it's very, very rare that happens. And almost every time that does happen, I think it's incredibly well done. And it's the same here with Manhattan Bridge. It's just such a freaking fun map, man. Like, oh, it's so good. C flag is so good. The only downside, no jets. There is attack helicopters though, but no jets. Coming in at first place, though, if you know the process of elimination, then you already knew that this was going to be coming in at first place. But I think most people already knew this was going to be at first place anyways. This is clearly this game's Operation Locker. It's this game's close range, very tight corridors. You're fighting each other, and you're getting a ton of kills per game map. Iberian Offensive. Iberian Offensive is obviously mainly close quarters, but golly goodness me, this map flows so well and is so much fun to play. Almost every corner on the map has some sort of action to get into. Like, there's no part of this map where you're not going to be in action, which, again, I know most Battlefield players, like, that's not what we like, but Operation Locker 24/7 servers exist for a reason. Yes, it is, okay? I don't know why we're lying to ourselves. Operation Metro is one of the best maps of all time. Why? Because you just got into constant gunfight all the time. It's fun to get into gunfights in Battlefield games. I like it for that, and that's what Iberian Offensive is. As a matter of fact, this map unfortunately doesn't have any attack helicopters or jets on it because it just can't afford to. It still does have tanks though, so if you are into tanks, that's good. And honestly, man, I know it's like kind of crazy, but you can definitely get away with using snipers. Am I going to say it's like going to be ideal? Not even in the slightest bit. Like, you are going to struggle for sure with snipers, but you definitely can use them if you really force yourself to. It's just going to be a little bit hard. But yeah, sadly, vehicles don't make any difference on this map. That's the only big downside I would say to it, but the rest of the map is just so freaking incredible. Also, the destruction on this map in particular seems way better than the destruction on most maps in the game. Seems like you can destroy almost every single wall and every single building in this map. It is very, very fun. The only one thing I will say, this is just completely random, but you know, one thing I realized very quickly into playing Battlefield 6, they didn't bring back Levolutions. Why didn't they do that, man? I always thought that was like that. I thought for sure they would do that. Battlefield, for those who don't know, Battlefield 4 had this thing called Levolution events where I think it was even in Battlefield 1 as well, but there was like one thing that you could do on the map that would completely change the map. It would literally change it from one map to another. Like Siege of Shanghai, the big tower in the middle could get destroyed and it would fall down and completely change the C flag location. Rogue Transmission, there was this big satellite that would fall onto the middle of the map and destroy the top of part of that map and completely change that location. Like, there was always these big events that could change a map completely. Hanoi Resort, the entire hotel's sides of it would completely fall, and it would be like it would go from like having 4 entries into the flag to only having 2. It was like so big differences. But even Iberian Offensive, like, you would think the C flag building, which is obviously the main combat point for Iberian Offensive and where most people get into fights or whatever, you would think that building would be able to be like fully destroyed or something, because that would like change the whole map and change the flow of the map and change C flag, right? But it doesn't. Like, yeah, you can destroy most of the walls and the floors and stuff like that and make it very, very different and play completely different, sure. But but it doesn't actually have like a whole evolution event, which I always kind of thought was weird with Battlefield 6. But either way, I'm rambling now. Iberian Offensive is my favorite map in this game. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video, ranking all 9 launch Battlefield 6 maps from worst to best. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Let me know what other videos I'd like to see in the comment section down below. Check the links in the description for any of my other social medias or any of my other YouTube channels or any of that great mumbo jumbo. I will be leaving a comment down below with my new YouTube channel, where I'll be just uploading any sort of yapping videos. So if you're interested in any sort of me just yapping away, then that's where you can find it. It'll be in the comments below. I think it's called Giggity Plays. So if you guys are interested in that, I named that because I most likely will just use that channel to like upload gameplay videos or whatever of games that aren't Call of Duty or Battlefield or Rainbow Six Siege first-person shooter games. And so if you're interested in hearing me yap more, which, by the way, you're a mad lad for being interested in that, but if you are and you like my yapping, there will be a comment down below with my new YouTube channel where I will be dedicating it to that in the future. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I just want to make it abundantly clear, if I didn't make this clear already in my review video, I am loving every second of Battlefield 6 right now, except for one big complaint that I didn't mention in the review video because at the time I hadn't really noticed it yet. But now I'm level 39 in that game, and I've noticed it quite a bit, and it's starting to get frustrating. Weapon bloom. Listen, I know Battlefield games have bloom. I get that, okay, for the love of God, because I see all these Battlefield players in the comments when people complain about the bloom in this game, and they're like, that's Battlefield for you. They have bloom. Yes, they do have bloom. Again, I'm max level in Battlefield 4. I get it. I was almost max level in Battlefield 3. I've experienced Battlefield bloom before. But this game's bloom system works horribly to the point where there are certain weapons that are completely unusable when you just compare them to the M433 or the PW5A3. Which is the MP5. Those weapons have like no bloom compared to most other weapons in the game, which means that most of those other weapons, there's no point in using them. Unless you're literally getting into close quarter combat left, right, and center, and you know you're going to, there's no point in using all these other weapons that have way more bloom than M433 and the PW5A3 does. It's just unfortunate. I really think they need to work on that, and I think, honestly, I know it like might not, I know they kind of wanted to make weapons feel different or whatever, but I think in the bloom aspect, all weapons should be the same. Okay, I really do. I think if you want to make weapons to be different, change their fire rates, which they do. They have different fire rates. They have different fire rates. They have different recoil patterns. They have different ammo amounts. They have different aim down sight speeds and movement speeds and stuff like that. And so they are already different. You don't have to change the bloom. I think the bloom on assault rifles should be the same across the class. The bloom on carbine should be the same across the class. LMGs, pistols, and SMGs should all just be the same across the class. I don't think there should be any difference in weapons in certain classes because then, again, this is Battlefield at the end of the day. Most of the time, you're going to be getting into around like 30 to 50 meter gunfights, and you're just going to pick the weapon with the lowest amount of bloom because then you can just spray them, and they just can't do anything about it while they have to tap fire. And I think that's the only problem I've noticed so far since the review video that I really do not like in the game. The bloom in this game is making it so that there are certain weapons where it's just very hard to use them. Like, yeah, obviously, if you're a good enough player, you can still get away with using them. Don't get me wrong. But for an average player like myself, you can't. You just can't do them, and that's my opinion on it. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Das Vidania, and have a nice night.